Do not blow your nose while we're fucking recording, Adam. That is not that is not allowed.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 47 of the Gollum's Gamers podcast, where today we are back with another GBHL 100 event preview episode, and this time we're covering the Guardians Call to Umbar, which is a 7-game event at 550 points. Now, for the Spotify listeners, I'm joined by Adam, Sam, Ash, and a very special guest who is the TO for this event and the league coordinator of the GBHL, which is Dewi Evans. So thank you very much for hopping on. Dewi, how are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you.
Good. So tonight, as always, in our event preview episodes, we'll be looking at some of the statistics for the event, taking a look at some of the lists that are going and ranking all of our lists in a tier list at the end. But before we get under the way, as always, you can find us on Spotify and Instagram by following the links in the description down below. So to kick things off, though, Dewi, I thought it would be a good time to maybe touch on a little segment about like the GBHL as a whole, because obviously, as you're the league coordinator recently this year, so you've been in the job
not that recent anymore.
6 months or so.
He's been promoted.
So I'm sure some of our listeners would be just interested in hearing, I guess, how it's going.
Give us, Dewi, the day in the life of the GBHL coordinator. What is that like?
What
might be in the works, all that sort of thing.
So yeah, it's going well. So for those who don't know, I've been on the committee for you want to say something like 5 years already.
Yeah.
Was the South rep before it split into Southeast and Southwest. And then I did the rankings for I think 4 years. Honestly, it all is a bit blurry. But yeah, so with the old committee, brought in GBHL 90s last year.
Yeah.
Which I think have done quite well.
Good move.
We've had discussions on the GBHL rules for next year, but haven't actually had a meeting on it as of yet. So
yeah,
nothing major as of yet. There'll be slight tweaks to the rules. I don't think there'll be that much. We had a pretty big overhaul last year.
Yeah.
And which I was one of the main contributors to actually writing the rules.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't think there's much at the moment.
It's good because I think the six tournament scores is actually quite good this time. It's definitely making the league a little bit narrower and scores are more interesting.
Yeah, so the two big things for this year were going to 6 scores and going to 4 scores for your region, but also removing the top 195.90 for GBHL 100s.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
It felt like you should get rewarded more for doing well at a bigger event. Pretty much. So we've changed like those two things this year, which will make a big difference. A big difference, I think, and it'll mean you won't have people stuck on 400 or 395 or whatever they were previously, and so it becomes a bit more interesting. And it means like going into the finale, for example, you can't go, oh, I just need second. Like you could do, but it also depends on how many people who are there. So it's definitely interesting. One of the things that we're going to look to do for next year is try not to have copycat events from the same TOs. Is probably one of the main things we're going to try and look at how we resolve that. So, for example, a TO putting on 490s, all at the same points value, points limit, that kind of thing. Yeah, just trying to a bit of a spice of life because I think people will get bored.
Yeah.
Even if you change the points by 50 to 100 each time, it makes people think differently, and people can't just copy and paste lists. Ashley will go.
Indeed.
I will totally admit for Wolf's Lair, I just copy and pasted my list from the Masters, and they're both 700 points.
The other thing I want to try and sort out is the spread of hundreds across regions. So, for example, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Republic of Ireland, their first 100 is in 3 weeks. It's the month of July. So I know in the Southwest we had a discussion between TOs going, even for like 90s and stuff, kind of towards the middle end of last year, we said, right, who's approximately going to do when? Um, just so as a region, we spread out our hundreds and that kind of thing.
I guess we can start kind of talking about the event. I mean, so we've got lots of stats and things to get into, but would you say, Dewey, kind of there's any key things, people who aren't going to the event would probably want to know about the event?
But my event,
yes.
It's pretty straightforward. It's what I've run for the last
few years, yeah.
Few years.
Yeah.
So I ran some non-GBHL events before running my first GBHL event, probably about 5 years ago now. And then my 100 for the last 3 versions has been 550, must bring Hero of Valor, Legendary Legions are exempt, no impossible alliances.
Yeah.
And that's about it, really. I wanted for my 100, wanted to keep it pretty simple. What I have found, and I don't know if you guys have found it, we can talk about it when we go through the list, but most people go curse you because they don't know whether to take 2 or 3 heroes. Because of warband space and or everything else. When building traditional armies, I would say.
Luckily for me, 2 heroes fit very nicely at this points level.
It's almost as if the Witch King is insanely busted, isn't it, Ashley?
No, that's not the case. No, that's fake news.
The sweet Witch King.
But yeah, and so like I like that kind of extrapolation. The other thing about my event, and this will please Mr. Terrain Man, is there are a fair amount of terrain at my events.
Yes.
All themed boards from the ones I own. Obviously, borrow a few because I don't have 35 boards or whatever I need.
Yeah.
But yeah, have a lot of themed and denser boards than the UK is probably used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, people know that when they sign up. I put pictures in my event pack, so if you don't scroll to the bottom,
that is something definitely unique about. Well, maybe not unique entirely, but not very many events put pictures of the boards that are going to be at the event in the rules pack, so you can kind of be like, my crossbow spam might not necessarily be as good because the 3 boards in Dewey's event pack are all pretty good line of sight blockers.
Yeah. So,
for example,
look to have a good number of terrain pieces on each board. So I think between me and Sean, we've got 22 complete boards, including mats.
Yeah.
And I've got a couple more in the works. So
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want to see, and it's quite impressive given the fact that you've got, is it 70 players?
I think it's 66.
Yeah, but you get events which have 40 players that probably have less average terrain than
far less sometimes. Yeah,
I remember last year probably the least terrain dense board you had was Isengard, just because that was quite thematic in the fact that you have like a big Orthanc, which is like actually a meter tall.
It's still got I think it's about 90 centimeters tall, and it's got a lot of very strong magnets in it. I think it's got, it's got 2 lumber mills and quite a few like little rickety scaffoldy bits.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And a few other bits and pieces.
But the difference between that and your average board is you're not going to have forests, you're not going to have ponds, you're not going to have.
So that's the really funny thing about my event. Unless you agree, like Lothlorien, the big trees are woodland, there's very, very little woodland on any of my boards because it's all line of sight blocking thematic bits and pieces. I'm not just going to whack down trees willy-nilly.
Do we a confirmed elf hater?
I'd like line of sight blocking, not forests, so not difficult terrain, but knocks line of sight. Man, it's almost like Ilya and I have something that can do something with that.
Maybe that we will find out as we get into lists, which I think would be a perfect segue to start looking at some statistics for the event. To kick things off then, we have the faction breakdown for the event. So in the top spot here with 8 appearances for the Spotify listeners, we have Riders of Theoden. Now, this might be the first GBHL 100 we've done in quite some time where Mordor is not the top spot. Ashley, how do you feel about this?
I feel scared.
But Mordor is in the second spot with 7 appearances. And in third place is, of course, Serpent Horde with 6 appearances. Then from there, with 4 appearances, we have armies like Erebor Reclaimed and Pits of Dol Guldur. So any initial takeaways?
Let's go Pit.
Pit, stand up.
We don't hear people shouting death at the top of their voice, I'm going to be upset.
But Vince Wong isn't there.
I want Dewey's the event hall to be a noise fest.
So I would say that's over 10% of players have Rise of Theoden.
Ooh.
They will play each other at some point.
Oh, that's gonna be
and knowing who's taken the Rise of Theoden,
yeah,
they'll be in and around each other.
They're gonna play, yeah, at some point.
But again, it's a 7-game event, so you've got to if that first charge should be good in theory, providing you're playing the right stuff. And like something like Pits can be like, cool, March, I'll have priority, thanks.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's, and if they were to come up against one of the Arnor lists or Corsairs or Defensive Helm's Deep, heroes lose horses, what do you do then? But yeah,
the Arnor one's quite interesting, right? Because you could death do your combats, but then if Malbeth starts saving things left, right, and center, they might not always go off as well, needing 5s.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You might be spending quite a lot of might at that point.
Yeah,
because the Arnor lists are relatively high in number.
Yeah,
it's quite a nice points level for Arnor.
I think that's quite an important thing to just point out again, the fact that this event is 7 games, because that's another reason why, apart from obviously it's close to home, which makes it great, but I enjoy playing 7 games at a tournament, and there's very, very few. I think it's only yours and Into the West that actually have 7 games. And it's you're paying money, you're paying a ticket, you want to go and play games at a tournament. If you can play 7 games, that's almost a bonus, right? And it allows for people to, you can always lose a game and still win the event because of how, that distribution works. So, I really like the 7 games.
Yeah, on that point, I do award tournament points slightly differently to some events. So 6 for a win, 3 for a draw, 1 for a loss. But then if you win by 7 or more VPs, so VP diff 7 or more, you get an extra point. If you win by 4 to 6, you get an extra half a point, and then vice versa. If you lose by 7 or more, you lose that point you got for a loss, so you get 0, and then you get half if you lose by between 4 or 6.
Gotcha.
So it does separate the field pretty quickly, and you don't have to go down to silly tiebreakers at some points. But yeah, it makes life interesting. My whole mantra is I don't like people knowing what they need going into the final few rounds. So
no long shanks, eh?
Nope, no long shanks, no random tables, so people aren't playing who they're next to on the standings, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's only really when you get to like the last couple of rounds that people know exactly where people are.
Yeah, I do like the random tables and the not knowing where exactly you are. Obviously, it is fun at the event to sort of like track and see where everyone is on Longshanks and all that sort of thing. But the unknown, sort of element of it all is very exciting at the event,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good fun.
Got to keep it fresh.
Of course. Sam, Adam, any thoughts from you guys on this?
Not really. I think 580 is a really good point for Rise of Theoden, and I think I know 3 of the players that are taking it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it podiums with who's taking it, kind of thing.
Them. Yeah,
there's enough of them to try.
Yeah. Serpent Horde doesn't surprise me. The Erebor Acclaimed, I thought, was 4 of them seems. I mean, there is 66 players, but that seems quite
for 550.
Yeah,
that's just people dropping Thorin into Lake Town, isn't it?
So
there's only 1 survivors though, so it's like
Yeah, true.
So I know there's an Erebor Iron Hills, there's a Erebor Thranduil's Lake Town. There's an Old Dane Erebor Reclaimed
Yes,
from
there is an Old
memory.
Dane. Yeah.
And there's something else.
Yeah, okay.
Erebor reclaimed with Iron Hills at 550. But that's interesting because Dane with 4 warbands like just over 400 points.
I can't remember if I've sent this list to you earlier.
I don't think so.
And then you drop in Biffa with some dudes, I guess.
It's nothing like that.
No.
The yellow allies, though, no?
Oh, no, I think you did. Yes, no, it is nothing like that. Yeah.
Is it?
Interesting.
So that was the late change. So if I've sent that one to you, then cool. We'll get onto that.
I'll be interested to see it.
Final point. The fact that there are 7 games, Riders of Theoden can lose that second turn roll off, lose the game, but then in all the rest of the games, it go well for them, So
yeah,
I think it helps in that way as well.
It's still 7 games.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. And if they play each other, then it's tricky.
Yeah, of course.
And there is a legend taking Sharky's Rogues. So whoever you are, shout out.
It is the same guy. I actually know the guy who's taken it. He's the same one who took it to Sheffield.
He has 2 heroes.
Oh God, that's a lot of models.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The guy who was wearing the costume, and he does watch the pod, so shout out.
Let's go.
I believe his name's Dominic.
It's Dominic, isn't it?
Dominic, yeah. Shout out Dominic, yeah. So okay.
He's going for the right reasons.
Sneaky thing. There's 2 lists that have got 30 bows.
So I don't play that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, if we're all wrapped up with the faction breakdown, we will move on to the leader breakdown. So for the Spotify listener, again, the Witch King has been knocked off of the podium by quite a margin here, as the number 1 spot does go to Theoden, obviously with there being lots of riders of Theoden. But there's way more than 8. There are 11 Theodens going to the event, which is almost as many Witch Kings as we've seen before. I think we've seen like 12 or 13 Witch Kings before. But in the second spot is obviously the Witch King with 5 appearances. With 4 appearances are Azog and Suladan. And with 3 appearances, we have leaders like Arvedui, the Goblin King, the Shadow Lord, and Thorin from Erebor Reclaimed. So any initial takeaways here?
The 3 extra Theodens are defenders of Helm's Deep list.
Yep, no surprise there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. No, I don't think so. All of those heroes are, 130 points or less? Witch King, give or take.
Yep. Well, Azog, I guess, as well.
Oh, I suppose, yeah.
Azog's at 215.
Everything else is so cheap, so I guess you just...
Yeah. Exactly.
The second hero is 45 points. Or is it 40? No, 45 for Hunter or Captain.
45.
Yeah, 45.
Yeah,
so last weekend, about 215 points, right? So last weekend we played the Wolf Slayer, and one of our friends, Ash Kenny, took Thranduil's Halls with 18 elf bows in the list. So took a few rangers and shot down a Pits of Dol Guldur Azog first turn.
Did it actually? I didn't know that.
That's beautiful. Was it on the front? Was it on the front line?
I think there might have been one Wagon away, but that quickly went down.
Dear.
But if you think about it, it's 3s to hit.
Oh yeah. 3s to hit,
5s to move.
Yeah. See you later.
Yeah, that is funny.
That's sad Azog noises.
Yeah. Hate to say it.
Yeah. I remember taking Pits into the West one year, and game 1 was Mirkwood Rangers. I was like, excellent. Laws of Battle, great.
I had the same thing.
I'm in for a good time.
Yeah.
I went 0-4 day 1 at that event.
Anything else that kind of stands out here for anyone at all?
Shout out to the legend taking Howdir as their leader. Wonder who that could be.
Yeah,
not really.
Not too much. No. Okay. Well, with that said, then we can move on to start looking at some lists. Now, we're going to kick things off by looking at one of the Arnor lists that was submitted. So this is a 550-point Arnor list led by Arvedui, who's leading 9 Warriors of Arnor, another Warrior of Arnor with a banner, 2 Rangers of Arnor, and 3 Rangers with Spear. Then we have Malbeth leading 8 Warriors, 1 Ranger, and 3 Rangers with Spear. And then a Captain without a shield leading 8 Warriors of Arnor, 2 Rangers, and another 2 Rangers with Spear. So 42 models, 14 bows in there, and 6 might. So like we said, kind of a really solid points level for Arnor. A lot of D6 at the front, obviously with the saves, 42 models. It's pretty good. What do you think?
I think it's arguably Arnold's best points level.
Yeah,
in the game.
Yeah, it's solid. It's really solid. The other 2 Arnolds, I think, are sitting at 41 models. This one has just dropped spears on Rangers to get another dude, which I think is good.
To up the breakpoint is
yeah,
good.
I probably would have done it. Like, you've got spears on all your Warriors of Arnor. There's probably no need if you need all your. You don't necessarily need all your Rangers with spears. So yeah, fire away, don't die, grind. Pretty much.
Yeah, I wonder what the average model count of this event is.
It is something like 32.
I guess Riders of Theoden brings that right down.
There's quite a few that bring it down. I can find it now for you. 31.
See, 31, yeah, with the amount of Rise of Theoden and with other lists that are going, is actually surprisingly high, I think.
Which means there's a lot of lists that have a really high model count, like this one, for example.
There's Goblin Town, there's Survivors.
Ruffians.
Ruffians.
So there's 1 Ruffians, 1 Shire.
There's Defenders.
2 Goblin Town that really bump it. Then you've got 3 Arnor lists sitting at 41, 42 models.
Yeah, that is still pretty high for this low points.
Yeah,
pretty high. Yeah,
you've got
that is brutal to face.
You've
42.
got like a Moria list sitting at late 40s, like Serpent Horde, Corsairs, and a couple of Mordor lists sitting at mid to high 30s. So yeah, there's a few. There's a few.
Interesting.
But this is basically like box cutter Arnor. It doesn't do anything fancy. You just put it in the way and grind.
Yeah. And this list is soon to have a new mounted captain hero as well as some Arnor Cav in there as well.
Yeah, I don't know if what you would do with those.
I guess maybe not much at these points. Obviously, you would chuck in a Cav, right, at least, and go to 40 models maybe. But I guess as you get to the 600, 650, if the captain's a bit more expensive and you want, 2 Cav, it kind of maybe unlocks those points levels that are slightly higher.
Dewey, would you be willing right now to give your guess as to how much the Arnor Cavalry are going to cost?
What's the Warrior of Arnor? 9? 8? 9? 9. Warrior?
9.
So it's a War Spear, so kind of 10, like 15, 16? 16 probably.
So not 13.
No.
No.
Probably 16 would be my guess. So what, you drop 4 dudes and get 2 Cav? So you basically drop your model count by like 2.
Yeah, you get 40 models with 2 Cav, and then you don't take the mounted captain. So, but it's this list Cav, so that's...
Yeah, I reckon he'll be somewhere between 70 and 80 points on foot. That's my guess.
On foot?
Yeah.
I think I can't remember what we said on the podash. I think we were a bit lower.
We said it would be just below.
Oh, we didn't think. Yeah,
how much Arbor do we cost?
Yes, we didn't think he'd be more expensive than Arbor.
I was gonna say I don't know. I can't remember how much Arbor costs. But yeah,
guys. By the way, we are big stupid. Warriors of Arnor cost 8 points.
8 points. Yeah,
he's already got a spear. That's why my guess is they're going to be OP because you give them a horse for 5 points, and you get to 13 points.
but also because of Arnor's allies, like they can probably be a bit harsher with the points. Not
That's
necessarily do it that way. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'd still say if I was doing it, balance of fairness, 15, 16 points.
Yeah, that's
team 15.
James and I were at as well on the pod.
I'm still team 13 points. Let's go, Arnold.
13. Change the meta.
Can't wait till you play another cost-effective unit.
Okay, well, with that said, then we will move on from this Arnor list to look at a Mordor Serpent Horde list, but not the usual type of Mordor Serpent Horde that the scene is used to seeing. So it is going to be led by, I guess, Suladan, Hero of Legend. Yes. Who is leading one Haradrim Raider with bow and war spear and one Serpent Rider. Then from the Mordor contingent, he has a Ring Wraith on horse, who is 281, who's leading 2 Wild Riders with throwing spear. And then he has 2 Great Beasts of Gorgoroth in there as well. So it's 28 models, including all the dudes on the Great Beasts, 19 bows, and 9 might. So I believe someone on the podcast has some experience with running a similar sort of list to this.
Adam, have you got any flashbacks yet?
Yeah, I remember that
game. Yeah, this is very. I've not run it at 550. I've run it at 500 and I've run it at 600. At 500 with a Ring Wraith and Warg Riders and trackers on Wargs, and and also at 500 with Suladan and a contingent of Raiders. And then the game that me and Adam played was at 600, and I basically had this with, I think it was 1 tracker on Warg. The Ring Wraith was like 291, and then more Haradrim stuff. But yeah,
you had more cav for sure.
So what does this do, Dewey, for anyone watching who may be unaware? What does it do?
It kites really well. It kites really, really well. Oh, I played 3 of you that event.
I do remember there was a bit of a
yeah.
I had a great time versus.
Yeah, I'm an absolute mayor of veto is what I did. Yeah, no, it like, so people underestimate the bows. The bows are very good. Having the Ring Wraith is even better because Harbinger. And then if you get the right move, you can really crush things. Really crush things.
Literally crush them. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the banner is just helpful for the Great Beasts. They're fight 4/3 attacks, so getting an extra dice is always handy.
Yeah.
And then having all cav means you can literally just kite around as much as you need to. And then
see, a list like Arnor is going to have a terrible time against this because the Harbinger doesn't allow it to charge the Great Beast very easily. I mean, I guess it's Abadui.
Yeah. That's the
but still, it just gets run over by beasts.
But you've got all the bows to just shoot at Abadui.
That's true. And you can't escape because they're high.
Yeah. So no, it's good. It's tasty. I would say this isn't the only Great Beast list.
Oh no!
There is another one, and there is also a Mummock.
Mummock.
So yeah, we're saying Riders of Théoden. Riders of Théoden will probably enjoy this. It depends how quickly they engage. If the Great Beast can shoot, then the Riders of Théoden are in trouble.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this one?
It's one of those ones where if people have never played against it before, it's just an inherent really big advantage to the point of you might just lose because you make a mistake that is game losing against 2 Great Beasts. And if someone has played against it and Semi has any idea what to do, you actually have a game in your hands kind of thing.
Even if you know what to do, it's tricky. So I always say that 2 Great Beasts is greater than 2 times 1. So like the equivalent. So dealing with 1 Great Beast is relatively straightforward.
Yeah.
Dealing with 2 is more than twice as hard.
Right.
I think Maelstrom for this will be interesting. Like if it's a case of like deployment scenarios in general, I think it's if you can keep the beast together, it's way harder. But
it's why you've got to have the extra cav on the sides.
Yeah.
At 550, you don't quite get that many.
Yeah.
You could go Witch King and bolster out the Ring Wraith one and not have Suladan, and you can do vice versa. But trying to get both in, you really limit yourself with cavalry.
The amount of cav, yeah.
Because what I generally do is use cav to screen them off. So if you want to charge the cav, great, because I'll quite happily run through my own cavalry to crush you. I did it at an event recently. blocked a gap with cavalry. Went, go on then, come forward. If I win priority, then the cavalry move out the way and I go in. And if you win priority and charge my wild riders, fine. I'll just run them down.
Yeah,
no issues whatsoever.
Yep. Okay, if we're ready to move on from this one, we can have a look at our next list, which, speaking of the Theodens, or the amount of them that are going to the event, I thought we'd have a look at one of the defenders of Helm's Deep lists. I took something like this, very similar to this, last year. So it is led by Theoden with heavy armor and shield, leading 6 warriors of Rohan with throwing spear shield, 6 royal guard with throwing spear shield, and 6 Galadrim warriors with elf bow and shield. And then they are taking Gamling with the banner, leading 4 of each of those as well. So 4 warriors of Rohan, 4 royal guard, and 4 Galadrim warriors. And then Haleth as well as a separate warband, not in one of the other warbands, because warband space. So 33 models. I think I had 31 last year, or maybe 32 with Haleth in Gamling's warband. 11 bows and 7 might. But obviously you've got the free as well from Gamling.
Is that really meant to be elf bow and shield, or is that elf bow and spear?
For everyone watching, it will say elf bow and spear. But for you, it says elf bow shield, which it is not meant to say.
Which is a good spot.
It's
Thinking
definitely.
I would
warriors with elf bow and shield.
Well, thank you for spotting that, Sam. And I will now write that down. So there will be a seamless transition for our viewers.
Cut there. And action. So I've played Bert. Shout out to Bert. Shout out Atomic Berticon.
Well, this is literally Bert's list, I do believe so.
Oh, fair enough. Get yourself a ticket. We'll see you at Atomic Berticon. Anyway, when I've played Bert before with this list, you can't put Theoden really in combat because he's your leader and he's not very good. Gamling is only fight 4. I mean, okay, Haleth helps out a little bit, but similarly, even if he's only fight 5, you don't want him in the front because he's your banner. And if a hero just goes in and flash kills him, you're very, very sad. Being D5 with the Warriors of Rohan, yeah, okay, you've got 6.
You don't have to put them on the front though.
Yeah, you've got 6 Royal Guard, which is good for bodyguard, but
10 Royal Guard.
10 Royal Guard. But the Royal Guard don't have the axes, correct? Whereas the Warriors of Rohan do. So you're stuck in the position of you either have only a strength 3 line, or you then have a D5 line which allows you to pierce to go up to the strength 4. I found that this army lacks killing power, personally, when I've played it.
Can do.
And if your bows don't go particularly well and your throwing spears don't go particularly well, it can really struggle.
Yeah, it's still like a fight 4, fight 5 army without Haleth. So like it's not awful.
Yeah.
It's solid but not spectacular. It's kind of like Arnold.
Yeah.
I would say the other 2 defenders lists are built differently. Neither of the other 2 have Gamling's banner.
That's interesting.
That is interesting.
I'm not sure I've ever seen it without.
How long are your round times?
100 minutes, an hour 40.
Yeah, that's maybe not long enough to get Gamling's maximum use.
I see the logic there, because it's 50 points, but equally a banner's still 25, so it's 25 points more. So
yeah, what are you doing then with the points?
Well, I think if you value,
you don't have to have Gamling, who's bad.
But then what else?
So one has Gamling, but without his banner.
Okay. He's still got defense.
Yeah.
Sure.
He's still got 3 might. He's still got March and 3 might. And it's got Haldir. So one's got Gamling, Haldir, Third, and Haleth.
I don't dislike that, because actually, if you value might at 5 points each, if we go on ring wraith stats, you have to gas the might completely from Gamling or Haleth. Okay, admittedly, Haleth works really well with this, but Haleth doesn't have March, does he?
No.
So you're literally calling moves or defenses with him, right?
Yeah.
So moves are obviously really handy. Defense 2, but are you going to get an extra 5 turns? So you talk about 6 turns where Haleth's definitely in combat. I mean, arguably you will, but it depends on the scenario. So if you're starting at the back, you're going to be shooting quite a lot with this list. So arguably taking Haldir might be more useful.
Yeah.
And in most scenarios where you can take advantage of it, you do want to be doing that for sure.
So you think this list here has got 7 might plus the banner, whereas the other list starts with 10.
That's what I was about to say. Like, if you're starting with 10 at 550, that's a really good place to be. I wonder what's the model count of that list?
32.
32. I wonder where else he's got the points. Like, does he not have any Royal Guard?
He's got more warriors. He's only got a smattering of Royal Guard.
Yeah, so I think,
but again, warrior with the throwing spear is less points than a Royal Guard with the throwing spear. And if Haleth's there, you'll still fight 4.
Yeah, it's more just the D6, I guess, and the fearless, I think. I guess at 550, you're maybe not running into as many Black Nuns and stuff like that, and Terror generally, like Angmar and stuff like that. There's just less of that sort of stuff around. So maybe that's not as big a deal. The D5 with sort of Rohan-esque lists, with the Warriors of Rohan can be an issue sometimes. So just the D6 and the fearless, the combination can be really good. But yeah.
Maybe the point I was trying to make earlier with the lack of killing power is the lack of hero killing power. Because to get basically this list, you're the higher fight, but you're relying on rolling 6s to wound, which is difficult. It doesn't grind very well. Whereas even the list we saw previously, even Arnor has a bit more hero killing power with Arvidui. And it's kind of like you don't have that. If your bows aren't killing stuff, if your throwing spears aren't killing stuff, you don't really have any get out of jail cards. It's just hope to roll 6s sort of thing.
Yeah. But Haleth in front of their scary thing and cool defenses and hope he lives kind of thing. And obviously only a 3-inch banner as well. It's just a normal banner, really, like the nice.
How often does the additional range on the bows come into effect?
It's very rarely.
It's never come into effect in any game I've ever.
I don't think I've ever faced it because you have to stand still also.
I think the only time it will really come into effect is if you're playing things like Storm or Recon.
To the death, maybe, and you're literally just...
No, because you can deploy... I suppose you to the death 12.
To the death, yeah.
You're sitting right at the back of the board and just going to shoot your opponent, and
But even then, they probably move into range.
Yeah. Oh, I see, as in, because they'd be at the 12, and then... right. Yeah, so...
Literally, this is a little bit annoying for the Rise of Théodens because it's a fair amount of fight 5 and that prevents them to just combat, whatever.
And throwing spears.
Throwing spears. Like, obviously...
The Rise of Théodens got to stay like 17 inches away.
Yeah. I imagine a lot of the Théoden, Rise of Théoden have gone hero heavy, so they're going to horse lord everything anyway, but like, just fight 5 is really, really annoying.
If you throw enough throwing spears, the horse lord won't stop it.
Yeah.
True, but
you probably only get 1 turn of throwing spears.
Oh yeah. But you've got a whole raft of them with bows.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be that scared if I was had Rise of Théoden to face this. Because when you call death, you just strike. Say you've got 4 heroes, that's still almost a third of their army gone.
Yeah, but you can put all the elves on the front, so they have to strike, regardless of where Haleth is.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You strike anyway, but you still probably kill sort of a third of their army. And then if they do win the next roll off, the heroes that are countercharging them, Théoden and Gambling, aren't gonna cut the mustard to take them out. The heroes.
Yeah.
But I'm sure Bert will have fun and probably beat me with it. That'll be karma, wouldn't it?
I took it last year. It was fun. Yeah. So interesting to see how he does. Okay, we are going to move on from this list and we're going to start having a look at some of our lists. And to kick things off, we are going to be looking at Mr. James Goebel's list, who is not here this week, but he is taking a slightly different take on his Rivendell Last Alliance sort of list he's been taking recently. So he is taking a Rivendell and Lothlorien alliance, which is led by Haldir from Lothlorien with heavy armor and elf bow, who is
your one leader.
4 Galadriel warriors with shield, another 4 with bow and spear, 1 with banner, spear, and shield, and 2 guard of the Galadriel court. Then from Rivendell, he has his favorite hero, Eristor, leading 4 High Elf warriors with shield, 2 with spear shield, 2 with bow and spear, and 1 with knight with shield. And then obviously Círdan as well with 2 High Elf warriors with shield and 2 with bow and spear. So 27 models, 10 bows, but then obviously Haldir has 2 shots. So 11 bows, essentially, 11 shots, and 6 might. So who wants to kick things off with this one?
Well, only 27 models is a little bit low.
I think you might struggle.
I'm really torn with this list because, yeah, it's 27 models, but obviously you do have Dismay with Círdan, and a lot of the list will be lower courage inherently just because it's slower points. Again, it's Elsa Rides Theoden, but I think this is worse for Rides. This is better for Rides Theoden because this is literally, you kill 8 models a turn on your first death, and then you really don't have a lot afterwards. I think maybe the boards will help to a point. If James can
with the amount of terrain, yeah.
Maybe there isn't tiny chokeholds though. I'd say there's enough terrain, but there's not like 4 or 5 inch chokeholds.
Yeah,
they're generally like 8.
It's a 10 long line realistically. No, maybe 12 with the heroes kind of thing.
Yeah,
2 got like 6, which is annoying.
Looking at the list going like Arnor, I think is fine with this.
Yeah, agreed.
I don't see what this does to Arnor. They go, or just main Arvaduy goes, cool, run that way, go and get involved. Like the higher model count armies, I think they'll hurt a lot of people, but yeah, when there's a couple of armies that like triple this,
yeah.
Obviously, depends entirely what the scenario is, but yeah, I think there's a few where 600 this would be fine. 550 doesn't necessarily quite work.
Yeah, because you beef up the numbers. I mean, I guess a 600 you try and fit in like a sentinel or something maybe, but then like you're really not getting the numbers up.
I think what he's trying to do with this list is he's trying to make a kitey for elf list. Because he's got Terror Bubble, he's not calling moves, he's got Blinding Light. So what he's going to do is surely like not engage, shoot. He's got 10 shots a turn, or 11, right? Because he's got Haldir.
Yeah.
And he's got, like, he's going to outshoot anyone there. So I think he just wants to wander around at 3 inches, just moving around within that 6-inch bubble. After the opponents come to him, just move back 3 inches. So deploy on the 12, shoot, move back a bit, shoot. And then at this point, he can probably send the Rivendell Knight around the side. He doesn't have March, but if he manages to gain... Yeah, it does.
I got him in.
I think it's... In James's hands, I think it's actually okay.
This will either do really, really bad, like horrendously bad, or like good. It'll be James. It won't be anything else really. Like James will either go
somewhere between 5 and 2 and 2 and 5.
It could be if stuff goes bad, it could be a 2 and 5. But otherwise, I think if stuff went good, it may be a 4 and 3.
But you're calling 4 and 3 max for James there, are you, Sam?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of James's games were decided, excuse me, on how well that one Rivendell Knight can perform on an objective, because that's the only way he's getting them. And if that one Rivendell Knight tries to track her and loses the fight,
It's dead.
then that's probably the game, because he doesn't have many other ways of accessing far objectives.
Yeah.
Unless he plans ahead a lot.
The other
Unless he
thing this
plans
list will
5 turns
not
ahead.
do is this will never get your bonus point, because I don't think this list is winning big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll get a lot of narrow wins.
Yeah.
Or narrow losses, to be fair.
Yeah. Goes both ways. But yeah, James is, very used to using, especially Aristor and Círdan. So, and with lower model count lists with the Dismay, so he doesn't have the ring though. So, which we do know James loves.
In Goebel, I trust.
Indeed.
He would definitely do better with this list than I probably would. because
100%. He's a really good last lines player.
It's player style.
Yeah.
He's currently 4th in the league as well. So he's doing really well.
James.
I believe in you, James. Go 4 and 3 for me. I mean,
year of the Goebel. Year of the
I hope you go
Goebel.
6 and 1 or whatever. But
Oh, right. We will move on from this list to have a look at mine and Adam's lists, which are 2 Pits of Dol Guldur lists. So I'll read through mine, and then there's a couple brief changes with Adam. So my list is led by Azog on the White Warg, leading 7 Hunter Orcs and another Hunter Orc with bow, 3 Gundabad Warriors with shield, another 5 with shield and spear, and another one with banner, spear, and shield, and 1 Felwarg, then a Hunter Orc captain on foot, leading 6 Hunter Orcs, another Hunter Orc with Orc bow, 6 Gundabads with spear shield, and 1 Felwarg, which is 32 models. And then Adam, at a glance, what are the differences here? You have no bows?
You've got 1 bow. I think I've got an extra spear.
Bows.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah,
something like that.
Another Gundabad with a spear.
Maybe rejigging of Gundabads, but
yeah.
Generally, we've both gone with 2/5 Gundabads, more or less, which is more than what you normally see.
Is that a points thing?
Or half Gundabads, actually. It's, for me, every tournament I've taken this list probably to more tournaments than any other list, and I love pits. I fucking love pits. And Pits of Dol Guldur, don't.
It's sus from you, Adam.
Yeah. And I will say there's 2 things that list really sucks with. It's shooting and it's courage.
Yes.
Both of those are compensated by the Gundabad Orcs, which are fundamentally a worse profile than Hunter Orcs. But for the list, they perform well in those 2 areas, and they can slow the game down, which Azog needs. So I think they're quite good. In fact, I toyed with the idea of making an entire Gundabad Orc Pits of Dol Guldur, but I cried when I realised how much that was going to cost me in terms of time to convert and pay. Because they are horrific fine cast models, whereas the Hunter Orcs are all plastics and they're all pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, all in all, I think this is a decent list. I wince at the high shooting of the other forces, but you never know with scenarios, right?
Yeah, I played a Defenders of Helm's Deep list with this. It was actually at a 550 event that I took pits to, and I played to the death against it, and you can march as much as you want, but there was hardly any terrain to really hide behind, even with the marches, and I was 1 model off breaking by the time Azog even got there. So, it really hates shooting, and yeah, the low courage, like Adam said, can be a huge issue, but
you have got D6 this time.
Shielding off a D6 is obviously great, and obviously with the shooting as well, you put that in the front. So it's been a while. When I started using pits, I used more Gundabads. Then lately, I've been using more Hunter Orc spam and less Gundabads. So I'm excited to go back to using some Gundabads. I'm really looking forward to it.
It swings one way than the other, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
It's one of the few lists where you can put your spears in the front and it doesn't matter. Yeah. Because you can just seize priority, move a guy out the way, try to Hunter Orc through, and then just do that all the way along the line. So
you can
why
do
would
that.
you gravitate away from the Gundabad variation? Because all the reasons you just stated seem like overwhelmingly convincing to just always take, a good ratio of Gundabads.
Yeah,
why take the Hunter
I think
Orcs
there's 2 reasons. All right, so the first reason is Hunter Orc profile is one of the most efficient in the game. So
Yeah.
if you compare Hunter Orc with a Gundabad Orc or with a Shield and Spear, which is realistically the one you don't want the Shield one.
Yeah.
It's the Hunter Orc is 2 points less and has one higher attack, but at the compensation of 2 less defense, no spear, and 1 less courage. So
Yeah.
the argument is, yeah, you can stall the games with shielding Gundabad Orcs, but you get an equal number of attacks with a Hunter Orc just normally attacking. So there's a balance because you're getting 2 attacks either way, but it gives you the option to actually kill as well.
Yeah.
So I think there is a balance. It's just where that balance is. I generally feel like a 40% Gundabad Orc is where you want to be.
Right.
But at low points, arguably this way is better because there is going to be a lot of shooting.
Another point as well is that as you maybe play slightly higher points, you start thinking about trying to fit in a Warhorn potentially as well.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're having to really think about where you save points for elsewhere to still get the model count up, as this does need to be a above average kind of model count list. And if you're paying for the horn on top of a banner, you might not have those points to invest into more Gundabads. So
I was very close. I was very close to taking the Warhorn, not the banner, because it really makes a difference.
Yeah,
like the Warhorn in this list.
Yeah, the Gundabad going up to coach 4 is crazy. You need the horn, I think, a lot more than the banner in terms of the practicality in the game, but you need the banner for the VPs. So
100%.
What about
that's what it comes down to.
Why were you both so happy that there was a huge number of Riders of Fade in list? Do you think it's a very good matchup for you?
See the bat rat below.
Oh.
We've played this out on the channel, folks. So Adam using Pit, so you can literally see this play out.
I'm thinking more, does 1 hour 40 time limit good or bad for you?
I feel like 1 hour 40 is quite long.
Well, with the Gundabads, and considering the point in essence is to have the games go on longer. So Azog can do more. That's maybe a better thing, obviously depending on the matchup. But generally, if Azog has more time, that's probably a good thing because he's probably going to be the best thing on the table in every game we'll probably play almost. So
I think it's a good thing.
So.
Yeah. So but then the games can just end. I mean, if they go on too long and they end at 25, then you might not get that time anyway. So, and with the low courage, that can just happen.
So I think it's a good thing, basically because of what you said, but also Pits is one of the armies that will normally end naturally, because I don't think the games will actually go to 1 hour 40 quite often, unless it's a broken 1-2 and it just goes on forever.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. That's what you want in the game, because you don't want games to go to time. That's not a natural conclusion. And this list will 25 real quick. Like it kills, but it gets killed arguably as quickly, if not quicker. Because if you're against shooting, you'll go in. We've got 32 models. Depends on the scenario and the matchup, but it's quite possible you lose 6 to 8 from shooting, even with the D6 at the front, because what they do is they shoot 1 at a time. As soon as they've got past, they're killing what they want. If they don't get past and they kill the Gundabad, then they just go through that line that they've just created. So it is very easy for opponents to shoot out this list. Yes, you have March. Yes, you have auto turn. But realistically, if the opponent plays it well, they'll probably get 3 turns in Lords of Battle to move back. Because you march, they move back 3, you march, they move back 3. And then that next turn, if you want to grab it, you grab it. But then you've wasted your best resource.
Yeah.
I'd say now, if I could run an event where I could guarantee every game goes to natural conclusion, I would.
100%.
Yeah, that's what you want. And I mean, this list, just having the more D6 there, you're able to maybe extend that game by that one more turn that you need, to then have Azog, do a combat and win you the game before you 25%. Like losing 1 or 2 models less by having slightly more high defense models there can be the difference. So, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I think that's going to do it for the Pizza Dog Door lists. We will move on to discuss at last one of the Riders of Theoden lists that is going to the event. This is being taken by our very own Ben Haslam. So it is obviously led by Theoden on horse, heavy armor shield, leading 1 Rider of Rohan and 2 Royal Guard with horse and throwing spear. Then he has Gamling with the banner, leading 1 Royal Guard on horse with throwing spear. Then he has Derwine, Dernhelm, and 2 captains, obviously all on horse. So 11 models, 1 bow with the plucky Rider of Rohan, and 16 might.
Yeah, this won't
It
go
just looks so oppressive.
Yeah, this will finish within the 1 hour 40. I'll tell you that. It's what might not put gambling in, but otherwise that is 5 combats. So you're looking at potentially 20 dead, which
you're spending that might.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's the way to go, Riders of Theoden. It's probably the most control you have through this list. I mean, the Riders of Rohan spam or more, taking 2 less captains and more models is just it lowers your. It's harder to break this list than it is with the other one. So I am a fan, and I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the other ones are this makeup of heroes. So yeah, big podium list this is, I think, potentially.
So there are 3 other lists that are like this. Their captains have heavy armor and shields.
Bad decision. I like no.
Sorry, two of them have heavy armor and shield. One of them just has shield.
So what has Ben?
Ben's got 1 more model.
1 more model. Okay.
Yeah. So the other list are 10 models.
I think that's pretty good.
Just so scary, isn't it?
But again,
D6 base or 5, sorry.
D5. So they go up to D7 with heavy armor shield.
So the other lists are 10 models?
Yeah.
So what, they drop the Rider of Rohan, they take an extra Royal Guard with throwing spears, and they add throwing spears to Dernhelm?
Dernhelm's got throwing spears. And so the ones with heavy armor and shield, Dernhelm doesn't have throwing spears, and the Royal Guards don't have throwing spears. And then one of them has just shields on both captains, with Dernhelm have throwing spears, and 2 of the Royal Guard have throwing spears.
Yeah, so basically drop the Rider and add some upgrades.
Yeah, pretty much. And or take away throwing spears.
Yeah, to get it.
Yeah, like it's good. Like it is obviously good. Like over 10% of the field wouldn't take it if it wasn't good. Like I said, they probably will have to play each other at some point.
Yeah.
And if any of them come up against a shooty list, especially an evil shooty list, yeah, it could spell real trouble.
I genuinely think this will struggle against ruffians.
It's not unless you can't kill enough of
Possibly.
Well, they can shoot into combat. They've got like 30 bows,
30
right?
shots.
They got 30 bows.
They did it on 5s.
Yeah.
But they are on 5s, but
you've got 30 bows.
I know Farmer's played ruffians with this list and has absolutely trounced it within like 2 turns, and it's just
one thing I don't think we saw anywhere near as many Riders of Theoden last year, did we? We did do a preview for this event last year, so if you want to see the differences, in the meta, quote unquote, then
was I the first tier to give you stats?
I think you might have been, actually, and
I think you got very excited earlier.
I think you offered them up. I don't think we'd thought about doing stats before. So Dewey basically pioneered, what our event previews have become. So big shout out to the man here. Yeah.
So Dewey's to blame, effectively.
Absolutely.
For everyone's suffering.
I would say there is a pure Misty Mountains list that would probably enjoy these.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Riders of Theoden. There's 11 of them. So if you're going to the event,
you'll probably play it.
You're going to play one. So read up. Okay. that's going to do it, I think, for this one. So we will move on to have a look at Mr. Sam Grattan's list.
Let's go.
I'm not going to have to read out. Sam, would you like to run through it for the audio listeners?
Yeah, so I'm taking my Variegs of Karnd list. So Carnage King is my leader on Chariot with 4 horses. Then 3 identical warbands of a Chieftain on Chariot and 3 horses. So 17 models, everything has a bow. And yeah, it's all mounted, essentially. So I'm looking to also finish within the 1 hour 40 time limit.
Definitely.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
And either run over everything or hopefully have a line of chariots that will win fights and not die because of the bulwark. So seems like a foolproof plan. We'll just have to see how it goes at the event. Obviously, magic's the biggest thing for chariots and the amount of models. And there was a few Shadow Lords I saw, and I think there was 2 Lothlorians. So there is a couple casters here and there, which can be a pain. But it's 8 might, and I mean I'd be spending all my might to resist certain things if needed. So there's some play against it, but it's definitely the worst thing. And I would hope that I'd outshoot a fair amount of lists.
Yeah.
I think so.
Not James Goebbels, though.
Not James Goebbels.
Not the coordinator.
I'd hope that I would be able to run over half of James's army in one turn, which would be good fun. But yeah, I like using this list just in general. It's just it's probably one of the funnest armies I own. And
so Sam,
yeah,
I guess as the meta is effectively Riders of Theoden at this event, we can quite comfortably say that. How do you think Karnd fares in that matchup?
I think it depends on the scenario. I don't want to say good because strength 5 on chariots is also good. Against D7. I do have it is 4 heroes that they have to strike against, to be fair, and they still have to go in the ways unless they just want to strike the chariot.
The issue Riders of Theoden have is you have 17 bows.
Yeah, I think it's the shooting
and just run around and shoot them all again.
Yeah, the shooting and the moving. Obviously, if the impacts, if you do 2 wounds on the horses, you roll 2 4s to hit. It's like, oh, some of the heroes only have 1 fate, so you can't get rid of both. So
you target all the heroes that have D4 1 fate horses.
Yeah, so it's easy to dismount the horses with this list, and you always there is 0 charging benefits for them. You don't get any dice regardless.
Combats are going to be way less effective because obviously they only get their 2 attacks.
Yeah,
and rolling, obviously they're going to need 2 4s effectively on all your guys, but rolling 2 4s with 2 dice is not is exactly 50, isn't it? 50%. So they're going to have to burn loads of might if they want to combat off of any of your horses, and then they would have probably taken a fair amount of shooting damage from your 17 bows. When they're charging into your chieftains and your king, you're more than happy to shoot into combat because even if you hit your own king or chieftain, you've got that 5+ bulwark to protect them. Chariots killing horses. Yeah, I think it would be. This would be a very fun spectators match, I think, to watch Karnd play Riders of Theoden.
Yeah. It's all about the priority, realistically, as well, isn't it? With that at the start, at least, whilst you're skirmishing, and I think, and like this, a lot of the other lists have been, strength 3 when it comes like the defenders, and this can kill basically anything it needs to because you can 2-hand with everything, and then you can either go strength 4 or pierce to strength 5 and stuff with the heroes. So basically, like something like the Great Beast list would be, I think, maybe a harder matchup than Riders of Theoden because again, they can. It's a similar. You
Both,
try and do the same thing.
I can think of a harder matchup.
Both great beasts lists have a wraith.
Yeah. So like that's what I mean. So you get magic, but then it's also. Let me tell you, they're higher fight, or the chieftains are higher fight, and you can pierce strength 5 to wound them on 5.
They outshoot you as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes and no.
Hitting on 5s.
They're hitting on 5s.
4s.
Yeah, but you're not killing those all.
They're always hitting on 5s, I suppose.
Yeah. And you just hide everything behind the great beasts. So.
Yeah, you just target the commanders though. You target the commanders with shooting and be like, cool, because I've had it, and you're like, the commander dies.
Yeah,
you can be up shit creek quite quickly.
The commander still gets the in the way, right?
Yeah.
Was it 5 up?
For 4 up, it's a model.
Yeah, fair. Well, if you want to watch Sam use this list in a 450-point tournament series, you can go and check out the Hero Dilemma tournament series. We won't spoil who won it, though.
You can see how devastating it is.
For some players.
Sam, you don't want to play the Misty Mountains list, that's for sure.
No.
Sad.
And we will be able to tell immediately how Sam Grattan's event's going to go, whether or not he draws the Misty Mountains list round 1 in Lords of Battle, because I think that would be a very Sam Grattan thing to do.
Yeah, I agree.
Make sure to check out the Instagram for those instant updates on the day of the event. All throughout the weekend, in fact.
Elliot, you're going to be too busy calling it auto priority to do that.
No, I'll be doing it, and then I'll just call it at the wrong time. So
that sounds like a very you kind of move.
It would be like, "What's up, guys? I'm going to call my auto priority." Oh no!
Oh shit! I didn't mean to do. Oh,
yeah.
You're going to update the Instagram. Your dad's going to phone you, and then all of a sudden,
my nose will bleed. Yeah,
you have to go take a shit.
Yeah, with 2 minutes left in the game. Yeah. 2 hours, I mean, yeah. We will leave it there for Sam's Khan list, and we will move on to Mr. Wargers, which
everybody's favorite segment. No. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Witch King Sully time with me, your host, Ashley. Today we're going to be going through
all the riders of third in the list.
He does deserve it.
Today, we're going to go through something quite unique, actually, and that is a Witch King Saladin alliance at 550 points. We have a Witch King of Angmar with a Crown of Morgul and a horse. He has 3 might points, 13 will points, and 2 fate points. We've then got 7 Rannon Orcs with shield and spear, and 11 Black Numenorians. On the Serpent Horde section, you may notice, unlike previous event previews, I actually have more than just 2 or 3 models in this warband. Pretty crazy, I know. So we start with Saladin. He's obviously on an armored horse. We've then got 8 Haradrim with bow, 3 Haradrim warriors with spear, 2 incredibly converted Haradrim warriors with no war gear. Check those out on the Instagram. And rounding it off with 3 Serpent Riders. So I've got 36 models total, 8 bows, and 6 might. What do you think?
Where to start on this revelation?
Where to start with such a great list?
I'm amazed you haven't copy pasted.
I know I tweaked it a little bit from last year.
You have changed it. I've literally got it in front of me.
I knew you. Because I thought, the trouble is I just updated my notes, so I can't see how I updated it. I think I took a fate point off because that's the new way I roll now.
You've tweaked something in the... Oh, so you've got 3 Haradrim warriors and your 2 Haradrim warriors have swapped round.
Yep.
You've got 1 more Black Numenorian and 1 less Moranon because you've given all your Moranons shields and you've got rid of a fate. Correct.
Yeah. I thought the D6, maxing out 18 D6 models was quite important. Getting rid of the fate point.
Because where did you end up last year?
So I played Ali on top table
last round, yeah.
4th.
Yeah, I played Ali on top table last game. So it was successful last year. So I thought if I tweak it that a little bit.
Is 4th successful? If so,
I think that's pretty
Before-
successful.
if so,
How many
Clubly,
people were there?
Clubly is incredible if that's the case.
This was before his run of GBHL 100 wins. So, or had you
Streak.
podiumed the
Who else did you
Masters
lose to?
right this time last year? Maybe.
I lost to Rawson.
Ah, okay.
I remember that. That was upsetting. He had Arnold. It was in recon. Actually, I don't think it's horrendous against Riders of Thaden. I don't think it's an auto loss. I have got just enough cavalry to countercharge most of the heroes, which I think is the most important thing for that first turn of death. And as long as I can do that properly, because they're going to charge two Black Numenorians, two Black Numenorians, two Black Numenorians. And it's whether or not I can compel, say, a Royal Guard, charge it with the 3 Serpent Riders in Suladan, and then nullify those cavalry bonuses on the death turn. Alternatively, how well can Thaden resist transfix, so he can't even call death? There is definitely counterplay against Riders of Thaden. However, if my counterplays are unsuccessful, then I get mushed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't think, okay, I'm playing Riders of Thaden, this is an instant loss.
No, not at all. Not at all. I think the ones that have got 10 models have actually got 9 models on the table because Mary.
Yeah. And Magic
Yeah.
isn't great for it. Compelling one of those Royal Guards, compelling one of those Riders of Rohan, then charging it with a bunch of fellas. They don't have enough models to stop you hitting a flank and then getting behind them initially, unless boards, say otherwise. So
Depends if they put Royal Guards just into Black Numenorians.
yeah,
If they do that, so the Royal Guards are at the front, or even if they're just out of the way and they have heroes that have got strike or whatever on the flanks, then you could be in a little bit of trouble.
yeah, for sure.
Sam, do you have any input on this one? You're just, dying to get off your chest
He's
about
just dying for me to never take this list again.
It's definitely not the best points level for it. I think Ash may have had a luckier streak of games last year, and I'll be intrigued to see if it does as good with what's going.
Well, it most likely will, because this is Ashley Walger we're talking about.
Ash does have above average luck, I would say, but I don't think it's the best points level for it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how he goes. Okay, I think that's a good amount of time there to dedicate to the Witch King Suladan list. So we will move on to a list we have also talked about a hell of a lot in the last year and a half or so.
Oh wow. This
Jay's
is horrible.
assault on Helm's Deep list.
Oh god.
So moving away from his pure Isengard he's been taking lately. So it's Assault on Helm's Deep, led by a Uruk-hai commander with crossbow, leading 5 Uruks with crossbow and 9 with pike. Then he has an Uruk-hai captain with crossbow, leading the same warband. And then he has 2 ballistas. So it's 36 models, which is a lot of Uruk-hai. Obviously, 6 of those are with the ballistas, but yeah. 12 bows plus the 2 ballistas. And 6 might. So I guess,
Why do you count the ballistas as a bar?
I didn't count them. I said 12 plus the ballistas.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my apologies.
Yeah. So this is slightly different to his list from last year.
Did he take a bomb last year? No.
He had a banner.
Interesting.
So into the death.
What's no banner? Yeah, okay.
If you just lie all your models behind all of Dewey's terrain, you're going to have a good time. And then
providing you have a banner.
Providing you have a banner, that would be funny, wouldn't it? Somebody takes my advice without a banner and is like, oh, well, I didn't win.
So a little bit of context for our viewers who may not have seen our Into the West preview, although we wouldn't have talked about this specific point in that episode, but Jay did win Into the West at 450 points this year with Assault on Helm's Deep. In recent months at higher points, he's been using pure Isengard with, say, 1 ballista and then the 3 named heroes, so Lurtz, Goroth, and Vrasku. But obviously at this slightly lower points, you won't fit as many of them in with a bomb and a ballista and stuff like that. So you don't get as much benefit from going pure Isengard, where you can get a Crebain and stuff as well. At 550, you can't fit in all of that extra utility. So you just take it back to pure assault, max Uruks, and yeah.
This could be an auto loss for a lot of people in certain scenarios because you just can't do anything against it. Even James with his blinding light probably has to come towards this, which is quite depressing.
One ballista hit and good night.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Because you just target Kurda the whole time.
Yeah.
And if you hide him behind a building and try and have your guys out in the open, then blinding light might not work, depending on the angles. Yeah, it's solid, but again, it's quite a static list.
No Crebain, that's for sure.
That's what I found when running it before. It's pretty static. If you're not moving at the right time, then you can get caught out by killing your opponent too quickly.
How do we think this plays into Riders of Theoden then? Because the ballistas, you think, oh, they're going to be quite good, but then they're probably getting 2 shots if they're lucky, maybe only 1 before the riders reach and charge. Then I guess they shoot into combat. That's probably a good strategy.
You sit your front line of Uruks 7 inches away from your ballistas.
And just repeatedly shoot into combat and hope for the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That first turn of crossbow death needs to be really good.
Or you do the thing where you spread out your pikemen so you can't fit a cavalry base through, but you've got loads of lines of shooting, so they can charge like 2 at once, but you've still got 10 crossbows sat behind going, cool, go into my pikes, I'm going to shoot you.
That's one thing that's quite interesting. The fact that pikes don't get a bonus against cavalry.
Yeah.
Like Hilda does. Not Hilda, sorry. Frida Tallspear.
Yeah. Shout out Frida fucking Tallspear.
Shout out Vince.
Shout out Luke Hilda. I guess their advantage is the fact that you can get 3 attacks against a two attack troop.
I know, but that doesn't help against Theoden.
No.
Who's I fight?
If Jay has a good turn of shooting, then the Riders of Theoden are in a lot of trouble.
Jay has a good turn of shooting. Very, very. I don't. That's not good English. Lots of lists are going to have a bad time.
For sure. 36 models.
To be honest, if I played this list and I go against Riders of Theoden, everything would go at Gamling. Gamling disappears.
Yeah. No banner.
No banner. You hit him with 1 ballista, then cool, he's out of the game for 2 turns probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. No banner. As soon as you roll badly once, okay, spend all your might to win, sure, but now next turn you're fucked.
Yeah.
I guess it's how he navigates the scenarios like domination, especially the Maelstrom scenarios, and the fact that we're playing 7 games. If game 7, because we didn't explain this, but I'm sure Dewey, each of the first 6 games is 1 from each of the pools, and then the 7th game is just completely random.
Correct.
If we end up playing 2 Maelstrom games, that really hinders this list.
Yeah, he got caught out with it last year. His one loss was to Ali from memory. And that was Maelstrom.
Yeah. Pre-nerf Emperor as well, so OP. No Emperors this year. I'm sure if there wasn't...
Not a single Emperor. That's a really good point.
Yeah, I'm sure...
Not a single AOL.
Yeah, I'm sure if there wasn't an Emperor now...
There was so much last year.
Seeing as Ali won it, there would probably be some, but
yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
No Emperor. I think it was any other big ones. There's no pure Serpent Horde, but it doesn't quite work at 550.
And Emperor is also really effective against Riders of Theoden, so maybe that's why we've seen such a spike.
Yeah, and there wasn't that many last year. Yeah,
because the 30 points increase, it's a huge difference
Yeah.
The lower the point scale you go down.
Wasn't that the start last year of the spam Dragon Knight? That was where Ali took it first, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Ali's the trendsetter.
I think it was 2 Dragon Knights. She played it.
Yeah, it was 2. And I got a lucky shot in assassination on the wrong one. No.
Okay, I think that's going to do it for Jay's Assault and Helm's Deep list. So he's very experienced.
I would put like a high chance of Jay finishing in the top 5 with this.
Well, we can debate that now because we are
we're going into the tier list, baby.
Tier list. So we will move on to have a look at the tier list where I mean, last week, maybe it wasn't last week, but in the tier list previously, when Scotland lost in the Euros, we put Scotland as the bottom tier, and then Slovakia in the 95th minute yesterday.
It should have been England.
So
it should have been England.
An unbelievable finish, 95th minute. That will go down in history as a moment, that's for sure.
I do apologise to any
providing you get through the next round.
Yeah, even if we don't, it was still good. Just at the time,
it was incredible. I'm pleased we all went to the pub to see it.
We all went to the pub. We were all there
after the event.
I do apologise to any viewers that are from Slovakia, but to stick with the theme, it had to be done. So
let us know below if you are viewing from Slovakia, because that would be quite crazy.
Yeah. Shout out to you guys. Okay, we are going to kick things off with mine and Adam's Pits of Doggeldor lists. Where do we think they sit in the scope of this event?
Oh, that's hard. That's
considering everything that's going. What's your model counts again?
32
max warbands. Yeah.
So realistically, when you get to combat, if it's 12-inch deployment, we're going to be outnumbered. We are going to be outfought in terms of fight value. It just depends on the scenario, because sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's fine to lose the fights if you've got board control.
The lack of magic means Azog is effectively unstoppable. And
yeah, but he can't win games by himself.
No.
He can
if he rolls pretty well, he can.
He could definitely win games against Riders of Theoden single-handedly.
Yeah, that's a big call.
Okay, think about it. So he can, against a competent player, he can combat and force a strike from a couple of dudes.
Yeah.
But you've got to think that the opposition are also going in combating, and they can leave their raw guard in positions where they are protecting their heroes.
Your auto priority against Riders of Theoden, though, you let them charge you. You let them charge you, and you go, "Oh, next turn, auto priority, Azog."
Combat, yeah, Azog can kill carnage. 2 heroes.
By that point, you're broken.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
no. You've got 1 Azog. Pits of Doggeldor have 1 Azog. Riders of Theoden essentially have 5.
No,
if you're broken, you win that next turn prio, you most likely kill 2 heroes because you can trap them and you combat from one to the next.
Yeah.
Spend your might to do it. So you kill 2 of the 5.
Well, they're allowed to strike as well.
Or disagreeing, Sam?
Yeah, I think if you let them charge you first hand, you just lose.
Really?
Yeah, no way.
Remember, guys, that the opponent is allowed to strike. So actually,
yeah, sure, that might not happen. Yeah.
You are relying on Azog going in. If you're going to combat off with Azog, you better hope you've gone into a fight for non-defensing hero, which doesn't exist.
The issue is they just call a combat. They win the roll-off. They go first. Azog goes nowhere. He might kill that hero. Fine. Azog goes nowhere.
Azog will have to call a strike.
Well, even if Azog charges a Rohan captain and that captain has 1 point of might, he goes, "I'm in a heroic combat." And if he wins the 4+ roll-off, he goes, "Cool, I'll do that one first."
Yeah.
The combat separates. Azog goes nowhere. He might kill the captain. Fine. I think you've got to get to the position where you can march at them, be within 6, 10, and catch them.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be
That's
able to
it.
catch them.
No, within 10 is
I
not
was
good
going
enough
to
because
say.
you can't send Azog alone with a couple of Felwargs.
No.
Yeah, it depends who. You might be able to catch some of them, but yeah.
No, it's not worth it.
It depends
Well,
it depends who you can catch and if and when. But yeah, it's very
I mean, they're not going to leave Theoden and Gambling at the front. So
stranger
Adam, I
things have
think you've
happened.
successfully talked me into putting your list nervous as opposed to silly nervous.
oh no,
No.
I'm confident that this can be definitely nervous.
Nervous is where I put it.
They're going
Yeah.
nervous.
Yeah.
Both of them.
Like I think it's a really good list, but
I think Elliot's goes below yours as he's got a bow. He.
I'll wait for my bows to do something lemon like they always do.
yeah, there's a lot of shooting going, which is making me a little bit nervous about it.
Yeah, I've got loads of shooting.
No, not you. I'm not worried about your list.
It looks like we're putting them in nervous. Now, I didn't explain like I usually did before the Spotify listeners how our tier lists work. So if you are the best list, you are looking to be in our lemon category. So that's the highest tier. Then descending down from there, our tiers are called silly nervous, nervous, dog, and then this week Slovakia. So we have been put into the middle tier of nervous for this week by the looks of it. So we will move on to Ben Haslam's Riders of Theoden.
It's got to be second.
Yeah, it's a silly nervous list, isn't it?
Silly nervous? Does that mean it's a 4-2 list?
At the least.
No, it doesn't.
I think this could be lemon, except for the fact that there are so many similar lists.
And depending on scenarios, they could get bummed in Maelstrom against
Maelstrom's
Goblin
not
Town
great.
or
Goblin, yeah.
or Recon or something like that.
It does rely
you
on
can play
things
Maelstrom.
going favourably.
Yeah.
And if they play spam shooting like Jay's crossbows or a Corsair list, again, that's also really bad.
I wouldn't ever put Rise of Theoden in the top because of the variance.
Yeah.
You could charge into combat and roll a 2 high with 3 of your 5 heroes. And at that point, what are you going to do?
You're doing nothing.
Apart from be like, oh shit, this is going bad.
Yeah, I think Sam's Khan is again quite good into it also. So I think there's lots of
he's not the only
counterplays. Yeah.
It's not. No. Are we happy with it there in Silly Nervous, Sam, as well? Yeah? Yeah. Cool. Okay, we will move on then. Speaking of Sam's Khan list to Sam's Khan list.
I might put this, I'm tempted to put this above Ben's list, slightly higher than the Riders of Theoden.
No. I think this is bottom of Silly Nervous.
Yeah, I'd probably agree.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I don't think it's nervous. At this event, I think, yeah.
Sam?
It's a tricky one. I think it's very. I think any scenario is fine is easy, not easy to win, but you can win with this list. I think it's more the sense of if you play against a magic and you roll bad to resist. I think that's the kicker. And the terrain could be a benefit and also a negative. More so a benefit, I think. So it's hard to argue that it's better than Rise of Theoden. That's the thing, but
yeah, I get what you're saying there.
The terrain and maneuverability is probably quite a big one.
Yeah,
depending which board you're on.
Yeah, it's more the sense of it's kind of like if you just have 3 chariots in a chokehold, it's like okay, this list their armies is going to charge 3 chariots at fight there against fight 5 and go off, bounce off, and you're probably going to outgrind most lists.
Yeah,
just with 3 chariots.
I think as well, your list has an element of what we spoke about with the Great Beast list, where if play against someone who hasn't played against 4 chariots before, you inherently have an advantage. And obviously, you've used this a shit ton. So in certain matchups, that'll bump you up a bit as well.
Like
4 chariots is really
on 6-0 with at 600, which maybe is similar.
It seems like there's more magic at 550 than there was at 600 for the GP.
Yeah.
I think that's just no.
I think there probably is more magic at this event than there was at the GP.
Like on average, I would say.
Yeah. So it's literally just matchup dependent, that's all. If you play one caster and you're good luck, it could be 11. Otherwise it's not. It's just silly nervous, I think.
So it looks like we've maybe got towards the lower end of silly nervous.
Yeah.
On with most people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We will move on to Jay's Assault on Helm's Deep.
Above Ben.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
This is really brutal to face.
Above Ben, it's just more consistent.
Yeah, very.
You can't. Usually you'd say, oh, bloody. I mean, there's a couple Shadow Lords that.
There's 3 Shadow Lords, 1 Galadriel, 1 Gandalf the Grey.
The Gandalf the Grey, if it's with the high model count survivor, if it's
no, it's with Rangers. It's
no, that's not going to be at the top, is it? So so realistically, Jay's going to play Shadow Lords, maybe Galadriel. So you're talking 4 out of 70 lists. So you're talking 5%.
No, you can't. Stopping this list is really, really difficult because it's just so overpowering with its shooting power.
Yeah. I do think Rise of Théoden actually a good player with it could beat it in the sense of it may not be as challenging as it seems just with terrain.
Yeah, because of the fact that crossbows have to stand still. If there is lots of terrain and the Riders of Théoden player can sort of, get right round the flanks with marching and marching and marching and marching, acting Jay out could be easier than we think. It just depends.
You could split your army in 2 and literally just go 2 round the side of the board and just hop behind terrain so that the blisters can never shoot, and then double and move 15 and maybe be within 6 of both blisters, and then you're only having 1 blister shot out either
side
flank.
And it's the fact that the crossbows, where they can't move, it's very much how Jay deploys could determine whether or not he loses to Riders of Théoden. Because if you have to move and then you're not there for that, because you're only going to get 1 volley off, and I see what you're saying.
And if the Riders of Théoden gets onto the captains and one of the captains kills it first turn through death, it's like, okay, now you only have 2 might to moves or whatever, and that might not affect, might not hit all the heroes and stuff. It's just, I don't know. I think it has more play. It's not also win for Jay or in the slightest. I think it's
so one of the things is the fact that he's got no shields, he's got no D6.
So, yeah, but that doesn't matter against Riders of Théoden. It's all thingy 4 anyway.
No, when they charge, they go.
Oh yeah, 5. Yeah. But I think you'd kill anyway. Admittedly, it's more likely you will.
Yes, but you can whiff and have to spend loads of might. So, like that 5 to a 4 is a massive increase.
It's just because the Soul Helm's Deep has no might anyway. It's like they have no strike. They only have the move end regardless. So
no, it's in just the normal Uruks.
Yeah. But so your spending might to kill Uruks is not as big a deal compared to if the list had 6 might with 2 strikers or 1 striker.
Yeah. No, just saying the normal dudes on the charge, the heroes need 4s rather than 5s.
Yeah,
is a massive difference.
Yeah. I liked your point. The fact they don't have any shields, Dewey, as in they can't prolong a game, and they do so much killing that if Jake doesn't plan well ahead, again, you can get caught out by just,
absolutely.
Oh, there's no models left. Oh, okay, it's 25%, and I've sat at the back of the board for an hour.
Yeah.
It's like, Adam, if we're going to use pits and end up playing against mostly a D5 army or an army that has a lot of D5, we're feeling very good about that with Azog at Strength 5 because you're far less likely to fluff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 1 model. The problem I have is this list will just remove half our army before combat.
I hope
But it depends on the scenario. If it's a 24-incher, then yeah, it could be okay.
Yeah.
But even then, yeah, I don't know. It completely depends on matchup at this low point.
Yeah. Joe's list is good, but he'll have to be wary, like you say, of not ending the game too soon.
He's got no way of slowing down.
No, literally none. Oh, apart from not shooting and fainting everywhere.
Yeah,
but then you might just die.
Yeah.
And you might get more killing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, starts rolling ones, just becomes even better.
Okay, we will leave it there for Jay's Assault Helm's Deep list and move on to Ash's Witch King Suladan list.
Oh, below everyone.
No way. This is still silly nervous. I came fourth with it, basically. I came fourth with it last year.
Is it going above or below Jay with the new Serpent Horde configuration?
No, it's below Jay's, but I do think it's more consistent than Ben's list.
I think it's below Ben's personally, but
below Jay, but it's more consistent than the cavalry armies. It's not a cavalry army, so therefore it's probably a bit more consistent.
You have a Witch King and a Suladan.
Yeah.
I agree. Sam and Adam, happy with it there?
Yeah, that's fine. I'd say those top three they could all arguably be on border with Lemon.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, actually, what do we think is better than Jay's list?
550.
It's a very good point, actually.
Scenarios.
That's not an answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get your point.
By that, maybe we should bump Jay's list into Lemon.
Maybe. Honestly. Because,
you can't say there's no Lemon list at low points simply because of scenarios. There has to be a best list.
Yeah.
But I do definitely take your point, Dewey, that the fact is low points, scenarios, and shooting are all a much bigger factor than as you increase points.
You look at Ash's list, which is still, very, very good. Obviously, Witch King Sully. You would look at it and think something like Jay's list is obviously inherently really good against it. It's a pretty big counter with the ballista. Like you're scared.
The only thing I can think about is Jay's. Well, two things: scenario, like we said, and the other thing is terrain.
Yeah.
His crossbows will have nice lines of fire, absolutely, because they can move. Ballistas, on the other hand, will possibly have a tricky time.
So it looks like we are going to bump it up to Lemon then. I guess if there's nothing we can really think of that would be better than it, mostly.
But ballistas can move just as much as crossbows, right? You can push them 6 inches with the crew.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, you move a ballista one turn, your opponent goes, "Sweet, I'm going to move," and then possibly high behind terrain a bit further up the board next turn, or just go a completely opposite direction.
But it's the same with the ballistas and the crossbows.
Yeah, absolutely. But at other events, Jay's list will possibly do a little bit better because there's slightly less terrain.
Yeah.
I like that from you, Dewi.
You're welcome.
He did inadvertently
saving pits, one Azog at a time.
We'll see.
I'm still stuck on this question. What do we think is better than Jay's list?
I think with the Rise of Dane's list are better personally, but I mean I'm in the minority there. I don't think Jay's. I think Ben's facing Lemon than Jay's personally, but
I like Ben's list actually at the bottom of Lemon because Rise of Theoden, if Ben times it well, which he will, he's going to send Raw Guard off for objectives. He's going to send everything else into the middle and try and smash. And even if he loses, he could still win scenarios like domination. He can still win capture and control quite easily, things like that. So
I don't think there's too many variables.
Arnor, I think, gives Jay's and Ben's probably a problem.
It seems like
there you go.
Because there are so many different combinations of matchups and scenarios which could hinder all three lists potentially. They are all on such a similar playing field. Any one of them could excel up to, lemon tier, depending on the matchups and the scenario. So maybe having all three top of silly nervous there puts them all in the same bucket.
Yeah, I think Arnold gives all three of those lists a problem.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, Arnold would also be in that top bracket of.
Yeah, so yeah, as well.
Do you think Arnold's that bad for Jay?
Again, matchup.
Jay can shoot quite a few of those Rangers down. Yes, I know they're second rank. And the ballista, if you shoot the ballista at Malbeth, off he goes.
He goes on a little journey. Whee!
Yeah, I don't think Arnold's that bad for Jay.
He's got one fate as well, doesn't he, Malbeth?
Yeah, he's one.
Again, scenario dependent.
I think Jay's list. I think there's just more scenarios for Jay that are just against the list that are just bad. Like seriously, nearly two of the control objective ones aren't good. Contest isn't good. All the three Maelstrom ones aren't good.
Yeah.
Contest is one that can slip Jay's list up, whereas at higher points the bomb goes hello and helps him out.
It's randomly rolled scenarios, right?
Yep.
The lack of
you get one of those massive foam dice to just
no.
Roll it along the floor.
No.
Like you play Jay can play assassination against assassination is worse, I think, for Jay's list than Rise of Theoden personally. And that might seem crazy, but I mean, if you roll a 2 to 4 on your scatter for the ballista on the one turn that you're going to get to shoot them or whatever, it just feels like the Rise of Theoden is more variance, but the amount of heroes you have, it reduces the variance because you can impact nearly every single dice roll you're making.
It's true. You can't impact that first. You can't impact the roll-offs though, the move roll-offs, which are
you don't. Your first turn, you that's not a thing. Like you decide that first turn with 10-inch moving cap, like. And again, after that first turn, so much stuff is dead, and nearly every roll you get to impact with might. Yeah.
I don't think it's Rise of Theoden. I haven't experienced a first turn being so catastrophic that you can't recover if you win the next turn roll off.
Well, don't speak too soon, Ashley, because there's 11 of them.
I'm sure I'll experience it at Dewey's event, and I'd love to see it. But
I think the fact we are having a long discussion about the three lists means they should all stay where they are.
They should stay where they are. You've segued beautifully into my next point there, Dewey. So I think we will leave all three of them there and move on to James Goebel's list, which probably does not belong with the other three, I would assume we're in agreement on.
I think James might be taking a trip on vacation, going to a new country.
Has James been there before? Well, he has now.
I don't know if James has been there before.
He
probably has. He's quite well travelled.
I think it's Bob and Nervous Dog.
Yeah, it's got to.
I think it's below you two. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got to go there, Bob and Nervous.
Just the model count. That's literally it. The model count is not high enough.
Sam, you and I were discussing he should have potentially dropped Kieran. What does the committee think of that? Would it make it better?
For what? More dudes?
The captain.
I think more dudes. Kieran is just better when you have more models inherently because
he would only get 2 more models.
Yeah, it wouldn't
with warband spaces.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but you just upgrade. You take a hero that is more warband spaces.
So you could take Glorfindel instead of Eristor.
Until now, every president.
I think you'd actually probably take a Sildor, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
James would, for sure.
What? And then what do you do with Haldir?
Where is he?
Burn him off.
Could you do Eristor with a Sildor? Would that get to 550?
Yeah, I would have thought so.
You get decent models. It's just your 5 might with none of the kid and buffs, which, the last alliance lists are so used to having. Sure, you still get a Sildor, which is obviously great. But yeah, what makes the lists so good in lots of ways is the terror not having to call moves. So then having the low might doesn't really matter so much. But then when you might want to call moves because you don't have the terror, obviously the low might's an issue. So
yeah.
Personally, I think James should have stuck to his bread and butter and taken Mirkwood Rangers.
Yeah, very low points. So it looks like we're going to put him.
There is a Mirkwood Rangers list.
Are we keeping James in nervous, or I think he should realistically be in dog.
I think it's still a solid list, and it'll.
I think it's bottom of nervous.
It'll scupper some people.
I think it's bottom of nervous.
However, I don't think it goes higher than that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Okay, that is the end of the tier list. So that is going to wrap things up for the preview. So Dewey, thank you very much for coming on, and obviously
That's quite all right.
Best of luck with running the event this weekend. I'm sure it'll be another fantastic
Dewey,
one.
you need to make a prediction. Who's going to win?
Oh,
out to the Gollum's gamers.
Or which list is going to win? You don't have to say a person. You just say a list. Your hot topic. Your hot favourite. Riders of Theoden because it's got the most people, so it's got the best chance.
I'll go wrong.
Honestly, I don't know. I think scenario is going to play a huge part in the weekend.
What you roll for the round 7 scenario will be very interesting.
Contest? Recon?
Contest.
Yeah,
Let's go.
I mean, the last one.
Yeah, and I think it entirely depends on if the Riders of Theodens will play each other at some point. Some of the lists, so what, 4 of the Riders of Theodens have 10 or 11 models. Some have 16, I want to say. A couple have 16, a couple have 21, 22. So, yeah.
We haven't talked about the Riders of Theoden mirror match. I don't know if you want to spend some time on that, or if you just want to.
I don't really know. I think we're mostly good there. I think we did talk about it earlier on. I'm pretty sure we did at some point.
It's a lottery at that point.
Yeah. Something that's really awkward is when we have the Pits of Dol Guldur mirror match, and
I've had that
call
before.
the auto priority, and I just go auto priority, and then it's just a move off for an auto priority.
I've
that
had
is depressing.
It's hideous.
If you come against a mirror match, like don't use your auto priority.
Yeah, just save it.
Yeah, just don't bother using it.
But it could be such an imperative turn.
Yeah, but your opponent just calls it and it goes to roll off and you lose mine anyway.
Yeah, but then they could lose it too. So
yeah.
Can't wait for us to play Adam, and it will be another fantastic.
It'll be glorious.
Yeah,
I don't really think that will be the most interesting game, but
most likely not. No. Well,
you outshoot me though, so you force the issue.
Sure.
That is hard.
Clutch.
So if you're heading down or up to Chippenham, we'll see you there.
We will be there. Yes. And on that note, I think that's going to close things out. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast.
Yippee!